Hello, this is Chris, ZL1CVD. Just want to talk today about the Grinnell TR178B HF transceiver, military transceiver. Specifically about the battery pack. Living down here in New Zealand, pretty much everything is air freighted to us. So when I order transceivers and such that have a battery, I've got to make sure that it's not included. Otherwise they will be seized and destroyed. So that means I have to build my own batteries up. This is a pack that I built for the Grinnell. It consists of two parts, two plastic printed parts, which is the top and the case here. Inside it I have a battery made up of 18650 lithium ion cells in a 6 batteries in series, and each battery consists of 2 cells in parallel. So it's a 6S 2P configuration. This gives me around 25 volts at 6 amp hours. It's interesting to note that when this transceiver came out in the late 90s, that the standard battery was only a 2 amp hour. So we're 3 times that with this pack. Another interesting thing to note about the transceiver itself is that it can handle from 9 to 32 volts DC. At 9 volts it puts out 10 watts PEP sideband, upper or lower sideband CW, and at 24 volts the specs say 24 watts. So it's quite a range, and it's very good actually. It's a very good range. So I could have built a 12 volt pack or anything that I could have fitted in there, but I've chosen on a standard 6S 2P configuration. I wire the packs up with a standard RC balance plug along with a XT60 DC plug, in fact, or socket. I use these XT60s in all my amateur radio equipment actually. I know a lot of amateurs prefer the power poles, but for me here in New Zealand, XT60 is much more available and affordable. So that's the battery pack. Today I had the black clips come in. I did have on this pack silver clips, but the black clips came in and they match it a lot better. Got another one here, and you can see how it looks there. So it's quite a nice, neat looking unit. I've also fitted a handle to it, a carry handle to it, and this is just again off AliExpress. It's a kayak handle, and it's simply fitted by punching a hole in one end and fitting it underneath the earth terminal. The earth terminal is usually used for your ground plane or ground plane radials. And the other end I sit just under the clip there, like so, and by the time you put your battery clip on top of it, it's fully secured. So that's handy. Now, where do I get my cells from? I purchased those from these sort of packs. This is a e-scooter battery pack, and in these battery packs is around 40 cells, 40 of these 18650 cells. Because it's it is a branded e-scooter. I think it's the Segway 9-bot scooters. They're rentals in Auckland and Christchurch, 2 cities in New Zealand. And the chap that I buy these off, I believe he repairs the scooters, and they cost me about 20 bucks a pack. And he says most of these come out of scooters which have, interestingly enough, been damaged by cars. So the scooters have been crushed or something like that, and the batteries are just taken out of them and recycled and sold on to people like me, which is great. And the good thing about it is the cells that come out of it are NCR 18650 BD cells, and they're made in Japan, so we're not dealing with Chinese manufactured cells. So with that in mind, we can go on the internet and we can find specifications for them, which we have here. and we can see that a typical cell has got about 3 amp hours. And we can see other important specifications like the charge voltage, the voltage that you should charge it at. And we can see on further specifications things like the in voltage, like the discharge, the maximum discharge voltage, or the voltage that you should never discharge below, I should say. And we can see they've got a couple of use cases here of different charge rates. So basically we've got all the specifications on the cell. And why is that important? Well, when we're making up a battery, we're basically, when I get these cells out of the e-scooter battery, I rip the battery out and I take all the contacts off them and I take all the cells out, because it's not the configuration I want. I want a 6S2P, and that was something like a, I can't remember, but 10S4P I think it was. So that's too much for this transceiver, and it's the wrong shape. So we get the cells out of it, and what I then need to do is to make sure that the cells I reconnect, especially those cells that I'm about to wire in parallel, have got about the same amp hour rating, so they store about the same amount of charge and have approximately the same or similar impedance, so we don't end up with one battery charging faster than the other. Because remember, it's going to be in parallel and we're just going to send voltage into it, so the battery which has got the lowest impedance is going to get most of the voltage, and then it'll go into the other one. So we want to get that as close as possible, so that the batteries, we won't end up in a situation where we're overcharging one cell and could end up with a fire. So how do I do that? So part of having a balance, well, let's have a look at how I do that. So I'll just move the camera over here. This is my testing station, if you like, here. I'm using an RC model type charger, and the beauty of these chargers is that they're quite programmable. You can change a lot of the settings on them. You can change the battery type, you can change the end voltage, in other words what voltage it charges up to. You can change the, because it also supports discharging the battery, so I can set the discharge voltage, so what voltage it will discharge the battery down to before it stops, and you can set the charge and discharge current on it. So typically when I pulled all the batteries out, I will put them in here, it does 2 batteries at once, and each battery it will do 1 cell, up to 6 cells for a battery. So I'll fill it up and I'll completely discharge both sets of 6 cells, and then I will completely charge them up to the specifications that were in the data sheet. And at the end of it all, the charger tells me what capacity the batteries were charged to. So I know that these ones here, for example, were charged to 3.03 amp hours, and I know that the end capacity, I just wrote these down on the batteries, is around 60 milliohms. So that's the impedance of the battery. So that when I go to make up my new battery pack, I can pick cells which are similar and have a similar impedance, so they're going to charge the same way. So it's not going to matter too much if I have quite a range in the capacity of the cells. I really need to just make sure that these 2 batteries here, which are going to be in parallel, have a very similar impedance so that they charge at the same rate. Okay, so if we ended up, for example, choosing 2 cells down here, which were at these 2 here are 68 milliohms. Okay, there's 68 milliohms, and the battery capacity was only 2.93 amp hours. I could put them in with these ones here, even though the capacity is different. The key thing was to make sure that these batteries that are in parallel are going to be correct. And then what will happen is when my battery gets flat and I go to recharge it, and my charger over here, my balance charger, it will only ever put into each, because of the balance plug that I've got here, because of the balance plug that I'm using, it will only charge the cells up to what they should be charged up to. Okay, the other thing that I'll be fitting at a later stage into it is what we call a BMS protection board. Now what these boards do is they make sure that your battery is never, each cell configuration in the battery is never overcharged, over discharged, or have too much current, or or gets too hot. Those are all things that can drastically affect your battery. So that these are called a BMS board. These are for a 3S cell. I'm waiting on an order for 6S cells to come in. So once I fit that to my transceiver, I'll be all go. Alright, thank you for watching my video, and if you liked it, please click like. Thank you.